And it says you're on. Hey, everybody. It is Nathan Cabrera, and I am your host of Trip Ups and Triumphs. Trip Ups and Triumphs is the podcast that keeps it real about the highs and lows of life. And I, as your host, Nathan Cabrera, I dive into raw conversations about failures, comebacks, and the lessons that turn setbacks into success. You're in for a treat today, I must say, but whether you're grinding through a challenge or celebrating a win, this show is here to remind you it's all a part of the journey. Expect real stories, unfiltered insights, and a few laughs along the way. I'm bringing energy, compassion, and even some of my own experiences. But today, I'm going to be sharing with someone else and their experiences. So tune in and get inspired to turn your trip ups into triumphs. Hi, everybody. So again, I'm Nathan Cabrera. And if it's your first time here visiting us at the Trip Ups podcast, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere that there is social media and a social media handle at Trip Ups Podcast, short for the Trip Ups and Triumphs podcast. But we've been having an amazing time together the last couple of weeks. And I told you all that I would be having some guests. And so as promised, I have a Baltimore native, as far as I know, they can correct me, but they have a wonderful story that I am eager to share with you, or have them share about themselves, their family, and some of the things that they've endured. And that person is Miss Tameka Brown. How are we doing, Tameka?
Hi, I'm doing good.
Good. And we've known each other probably for about 10 years now, at least. And it was through a nonprofit that I was working with before. And I was just really floored by the story that you shared, the excitement and the fire that you had and the compassion that you had towards it. And so what is that thing that caused us to have that initial conversation? What were you advocating for?
Lead awareness.
Lead awareness. And so I'll be honest, I didn't know much when you mentioned it to me years ago, and I still don't know too much, but I just knew that you had a burning desire to let more people be aware of this. So what is this lead awareness? We've heard of lead. We joke about, like, what is it? The drinking from the water hose as kids. Like, is that still allowable? Like, what is lead?
Lead is a component that comes from paint. It comes from international foods, international shopping. Once the lead is, it enters into your bloodstream as a toddler, it's very harmful.
Yeah. Now, is lead something that you can see? Do we smell it? Like, how do we know that things have lead in it? Do you just assume the worst? Like, should we throw all of our goods away that are not made locally or new?
No, you cannot detect lead as far as smelling. For a child, if they were to eat chip paint, it tastes like candy. So that's what keeps the child coming back for eating like chip paint. But
Serious?
yes,
So the taste is actually attractive.
yes,
Holy crap.
yes.
I did not know that.
Mm.
One statistic that I was able to pull out is it says the CDC says over 500,000 children in the US are still being poisoned by lead today.
That is very true.
So what made you, I guess, an advocate for lead awareness? Like, did you just wake up one day and say, hey, this is important to me, I want to do this?
So I became an advocate for that because my daughter, at the age of 2, was diagnosed with the third highest case in Baltimore County at that time. And child's level should not be above a 3.5, and her level was a 32. So just imagine a 2-year-old from their toes to the middle of their forehead is how much lead her body consumed.
Oh my gosh. And so what were the signs? How are you aware that this was happening, or that, I don't know, like,
Believe it or not, I did not have any signs whatsoever. What happened was I took her to her pediatrician for her 2-year checkup. And of course, with that, they always do blood work, just to make sure everything's okay. And that was 2 days after her birthday. I received a phone call from the health department. And they're like, have you spoken to her pediatrician? And I'm like, no, what did I do? Am I in trouble? Like, I'm not going to jail, am I? So they're like, no, but we do have to come out because your child has a very high lead level. So that's where it all began.
oh my goodness, I can't imagine being a parent or anyone that is closely related to someone that had that happen to them. What were your initial reactions when you found out that that's why you were getting the phone call? That's what was happening to your child.
I
at that
was
time?
scared. I was crying. I didn't know what to do. I thought CPS was gonna come in and take my kids because, your child is ill from this and you did not know. And I'm thinking to myself, where did the mistake come from? What did I do as a parent for, not protecting my child from this illness?
Mm,
So, they had to talk me down and let me know that I wasn't in trouble, that they were there for me to help me get her levels back on track.
wow. And so, yeah, we hear that a lot when people are going through unconventional circumstances, just trauma or experiences that this is a life-threatening, potentially life-threatening thing, right? Like,
Yes, kids, they die from this. Their levels are high. They can die from this. And it only takes a pinky tip of lead dust to raise child's lead level.
wow. And I would imagine just because their bodies are still developing, they're so much smaller that it takes a lot less of lead to be ingested into their system for it to really take hold.
Yes.
Can you get lead poisoning from not consuming lead? Like,
You could breathe it in. If you're in, so let's just say Baltimore City, we have a lot of rundown houses here. And if the vacant home is not boarded up and there's a really bad windstorm, you walk past that and the breeze from the inside will come out that window and you can breathe that in.
wow. So it's like it's similar. I'm just reminded of like asbestos,
Yeah.
in the sense of like, I was always told like if you a lot of our old houses when we grow up in them and they weren't remodeled, the little tiles on the being able to safely remove them or have them replaced, like having the right equipment to, face coverings. It sounds like it's similar with lead and if you know anything about Baltimore, especially certain parts, and I love Baltimore. I'm a diehard Baltimorean. I've been born, raised here, and I bought my house here. I don't want to leave. Definitely a big fan, but we do have an issue when it comes to vacancies. We do have an issue with some aging housing that's just sitting there. And sometimes there's been like house fires and, housing collapsing or being held up. Have you seen like some of the houses are actually like held up by 2x4s or,
Yeah.
wood just so that they don't fall crashing into the street while people are crossing?
And it's so sad because a lot of these homes are passed down from our grandparents. And when the money is not there to renovate the homes properly, they're left with all of this lead. And the foundation of the home becomes weak and they collapse. The fires, it's horrible.
Yeah, that is incredibly sad. It's sad to know that like in this day and age, we're still dealing with things that you would think because they're been discovered that we wouldn't be dealing with them anymore, but it's still a rampant issue. It sounds like, especially since statistics.
Oh, yeah, it's so bad. A lot of homes, so any home that is built before 1978, 99% of the time they will still have lead in that home.
Wow.
So you will find lead everywhere. You will find it in the baseboards, the floors, window sills, the walls, the piping, everywhere.
So that begs the question, and I know viewers and listeners are probably going to be thinking the same thing. So I'm just gonna be real, like, where was this lead that was going on? It was in your house?
It was in my house. MDE had to come out to do the proper lead test in which they take a XRF gun and they can hold it to anything, walls, toys, knickknacks, keys, anything, and it will show how much lead is in whatever they are testing at that time. So when they came in to do the testing, they found high levels of lead coming into my apartment on the walls, the radiators, because Dundalk, we have a lot of old homes that had
Mm,
radiators. So it was in the radiators, the walls, and they found the spot in my children's room where my daughter was eating the lead. She would just bite the wall. And it was probably about like that long. It
my
just kept
gosh.
going and going and going.
Yeah, and like you had said earlier, like, there's actually a taste to it, which is
Tastes like candy.
that to me is is it surprising? I don't know, because I mean, like, we ingest things that are not healthy for us that are food, like actual food
Mhm.
that keeps us addicted or coming back, but to know that there's, like, actual, like, paint that could be carrying lead, that is tasty, that children will keep coming back, that to me is just wild. It also says here, children absorb 4 to 5 times more lead than adults. When you heard how it could affect your daughter's brain, her development, and possibly her future. What was going on through your mind as a mother?
Going through my mind, I was heartbroken. I felt like I failed. Said I was going to do as much research as I possibly can just so that I know what to do to help my daughter get better. The long road ahead of her, things that we are going to face. So it was a lot of research.
Wow. And so during that era of your life and your experience with your own daughter, you started to advocate. You started to go into the community, let other people know, and be aware of which places might be holding that and maybe holding them accountable and changing direction. Like I even seen like through your social media that you've met some really polarizing individuals who are in power now in different positions politically and community wise. So I think you even got an award recently in regards to maybe a citation. So that's awesome. So can you tell me more about like during that advocacy work, maybe something that you learned through your research and how maybe you were able to impact some sort of change?
So when I started the advocacy, I wanted to get out there just so that I can warn other parents. And if they are going through the same thing that I was going through, I want them to know that they were not alone, that I'm going to fight. And when I fight hard. So with that, I would go into the communities. With you, we did the tree planting for that awareness. I held Zoomathons. I did a candlelight visual. I did a fruit giveaway. I had a lot of donations of fruit. Went to the city, gave out fruit and information to parents about it. And then her doctor at Mount Washington knew what I was doing. And so she gave me the application for the governor's lead committee. That's where the citation came in at. So I served on the governor's board for about 2 years.
Wow.
Mm.
That's that's really awesome.
Yeah, I did the 4th of July parade, which was awesome. We won 3rd place for the decorations and everything. So I have to do my part in our community to help protect our children because they are our legacy. They are our future. And we want our future to be bright and happy and can't do that if things are not in shape and there's no guidance or support out there for us.
Yeah. Now, I'm thinking, well, for one, thank you for your advocacy work and just your doing your due diligence and just being, prior to that, a mom, but now being a mom who's doing it for her daughter and doing it for other people's sons and daughters to protect them so that they would be protected from the things that you had to endure through this season. What I'm thinking is, what were the next couple years like? If I'm thinking about lead poisoning and they can kill you, what did ultimately happen to your daughter? Were they bedridden? What was that like?
So, with that, my whole family, we changed our diet because you can't have anything fatty, no fried foods at all.
What?
Yeah,
Why?
because it does not go well with the lead. It's very
No
fatty, and
way.
when the lead comes down, it's gonna interfere with that.
Really?
Yeah. So all of the meats had to be baked, grilled, or grilled. Fresh fruits and veggies. So lots of greens, lots of greens.
Now I'm not trying to be funny, but you're losing me here because so no Popeyes, no KFC, like just for the daughter, but you were doing it as like moral support. Like
Yes.
what's the meaning of this?
Listen, it hurt all of us. We said, "No KFC? What you talking about, Mom?"
No.
Yes, no KFC. Yeah. So I did a veggie garden and, we had fresh everything. So,
Okay, there's pluses to that. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I hope that your daughter had like vegetables and like the dieting.
Over time, it came really, you know, good for her, It
Yeah.
just had to take time for her to get adjusted because, just like, we're all grew up on, sweets, candies, cupcakes. So it was
TV dinners. Let me
yeah.
tell you, like it was like when you didn't want to cook dinner, growing up, like your mom, your family, your relative just said, "Here, heat this up." It's
Yes.
convenience. Convenience is such a big thing, even today. Like grab and go, grab and go.
Mhm.
So you had to really
Yeah,
plan.
we had to change everything, everything.
Oh my goodness.
She loved orange. Oranges was her thing. She would go to the refrigerator and say, "Orange?"
Oh,
So, but yeah, with that, a lot of cleaning, a lot of dusting daily, vacuuming the floor because if you have lead on the inside of your house, you're going to have it on the outside as well.
oh my
So, when people
gosh.
would come into our home, I would make sure that they, take their shoes off at the door so that way they cannot travel any other lead dust through the home.
Wow.
Yes. So, just backtrack real quick.
Sure, sure.
So, when my landlord found out that she had lead poisoning, they moved us to another unit in that same complex. So when they moved us, I wanna say we moved maybe a week after finding out. 3 weeks after moving, we had to move again because the whole complex was lead-based.
Whoa.
So she could not be in that community at all because she was
Wow.
in the hospital for chelation treatment.
Wow.
So
Now,
it
now tell me that. What is that?
So chelation treatment, it's a 2-week process, I believe, where they give you IVs and all the lead combines together. And either they'll go in and take that piece of lead out or it would just get flushed out her system. But with that high lead level, she had lead stored in her bones. So each, growth spurt that she had, it would release into her bloodstream until it's flushed out her system.
Wow. Just being told and learning about this, obviously I heard about it and then, it hit closer to home when you know someone in the community that like suffered, but like being told this now makes me have a whole newfound perspective of how critical that this really is. We might joke about the water hose situation, but this wasn't in the 1900s that this was happen that this happened more recent, right? In the last when did this happen?
2013?
Wow. So that's not a long time ago. And to still have residencies that had an issue and didn't inspect, like that
Yeah.
it just seems so far fetched, but it happens.
And a lot of landlords do not comply with the state regulations. You're supposed to have your home tested, meet the standards. Tenants are supposed to get a lead certificate. There's
Okay.
two different type of lead certificates. So one is stating that the home is lead free, meaning none at all. The other one is a lead safe certificate, which meaning that there was lead in there and the home was renovated.
Gotcha.
And I didn't receive any of those. I'm like, "What is this? A land certificate? I don't know what that is." And then as I, got more into it, I've learned and figured out what it was.
You got me about to go online right now. Look up, what is this certificate? How do I get it? How do I get the inspection? Let's do it right now because, yeah, that's crazy. You talk about, with the landlord issue, but also I'm reading here as well the systemic issues. As we know, we tend to hear that certain things like this affect minority populations more, lower income, like in the community that I reside in. It says research shows that Black children are almost 3 times more likely to be poisoned by lead than white children. Now, do you think this is an environmental justice issue as much as it is a health issue, or what do you think? And I know that I already just dropped that
Think
on you.
it's more of an environmental issue,
Mm,
definitely.
yeah,
And, the lower class, I wanna say that we suffer all the time. There's programs out there that can help, but we don't know about these programs until something happens. Now, if we
before it's too late.
Right, right, and if the programs were out there advertising during those times, a lot of help and a lot of issues would have been resolved before they even got started.
Where could someone go, like, if they wanted to get some resources? I mean, obviously Google, but for those of people in the US or Maryland, where can they go?
You can go to your local health department, definitely. They have programs there, they have all the information there. They can also put you in the directions of other, programs out there that can help as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you're listening now as well and you've heard or experienced someone who close to you has suffered from lead poisoning, I'd like to know in the comments below. You can comment. You can also send me a DM. And also, if you're out of the country listening, I know I have some folks in Africa, Nigeria specifically. Thank you so much. I see you, I hear you, and I've gotten some messages from some beautiful people there. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Trip Ups and Triumphs, the podcast. But yeah, if you have resources in your country, I would like to share them so that there's, preventative measures taken, or maybe something that we need to know, please share. I'm always up for learning. So this is definitely mind opening for me. But Tameka, you mentioned also that your story happened in a rental apartment in general, because we ain't going to put anybody out there unless you want to. But do you feel landlords and housing authorities are held accountable enough, especially when kids are exposed to lead? Did you get the support that you needed? I would think if this landlord situation, if they have multiple properties, that could be multiple units have children that could be exposed or potentially exposed as well. So do you feel like you had that you got enough support during that season, and are they held accountable enough in general?
From the landlord, felt like I didn't get enough support from them. It was more so pushed under the rug. Get us up out of their community into another community. They don't understand what it's like to deal with a child with lead poisoning. They don't understand the amount of visits that you have to take your child to just to make sure that levels are going down, that they are, their developmental, delays is not delaying. Stomach issues, learning disabilities, they're not there for all of that. So it's more so a brush under the rug. So once we're gone out of that complex, you don't hear from them ever again.
Wow.
There's no phone call. Hey, just wanted to check up, see how everything's going. Is there anything that you need? None of that. You're
That,
gone, you're gone.
yeah, that's so sad, and that happens all the time. It's like you're just a number, and like you said, I would imagine that they're just like, oh man, like here's a problem. We got to get rid of the problem rather than
Mm.
finding an actual solution. And hopefully moving forward, I think I know whereabouts. It's interesting. I'm just going to say this without putting anyone else on or companies on blast, because I don't know what your position is in all of this. I don't know. We did not have this discussion previously. What I will say, there was a change in ownership on multiple occasions, and there was definitely remodeling after the fact. So I mean, I'm glad that they made the changes, but also it's like, okay, so they know, they were aware, and they probably lost the building or the structures. I don't know. I'm sure I could do the research on that.
So the first ownership was because of me. After that,
I
I'm
remember.
not for sure what happened after that. I do know my mom was living in that complex as well, and I told her that my child could not come to her home because of the situation. The only way that she was allowed to come to the house is either she move or have the home tested for lead.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So this, I mean, we've all survived a pandemic now. So it sounds eerily similar in the sense like this really changed your life. That moment, that house, it left a lasting impression. You may have left there, but the ramifications continued upon your leave. It
Yeah,
essentially changed the way you lived.
it changed everything. My daughter is 13 today. She's not well. She's not well at all.
Really?
She has mood disorder. She has a learning disability. She's on medication now. She sees a psychiatrist. She sees a counselor, so she's not well at all. And this is something that I have to deal with, for the rest of our lives. The landlord, they didn't care.
Yeah. You're still dealing.
Yeah.
If it's okay. So she's
Yeah.
13. Does she have independency? Uh,
She lives a normal life and everything. The mood changes is when it becomes a really big problem. She has to have fidget toys, just to keep her occupied because she will lose interest in something quick, fast. Concentration is crazy.
wow. Yeah. I had no idea, and again, I think when you hear about something, we're moved for a minute, a second, and then we all continue on about our lives, but there's people that are still dealing with the things of yesterday. Thank you for sharing all of that. that's intense.
No problem. It's and one thing that bothers me a lot is because you know your child has a disability and it comes from the lead. And when you tell people, what your child been through, explaining certain situations, they say it's an excuse. It's not an excuse for your child having lead poisoning. This is something uncontrollable. And to say, "Oh, you use that as an excuse." I don't use it as an excuse. This is reality. This is something that I go through every day. They don't, they're not there to go to the doctor's visits, listening to their diagnosis, listening to their suggestions and everything like that. They don't know. They don't know how it feels. They're looking in from the outside and not in the inside with us,
Yeah.
living this day to day.
Do you think through your advocacy or just talking about it in general and then having those interactions with people, do you think people looked at you differently or just got tired of hearing the advocacy and the messaging that you were putting out there?
I don't think so. A lot of people till this day still, inbox me, text me, ask me questions. They'll send me pictures. Do you think this has lead in it? What do you think about this? Or, so I know I have gotten through to some parents. And if I have gotten through to at least two parents, I know I've done my job. I've done my job. And it's definitely an amazing feeling just to know that people are out there listening to you and they are taking your suggestions and the help and the information that you give them and they're actually putting it into place into action. So that warms my heart, definitely.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And maybe what's something that is a takeaway that you could encourage other people to do right now to mitigate and protect ourselves from suffering from the same fate?
One is to have your children tested for lead. Two, if they are visiting anybody house, it doesn't matter, daycare, house, after school facility, whatever. Make sure that they have been tested for lead. If they can show you a copy of their lead certificate showing that it has been tested and it's okay to be in there, that's all I ask for.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone, if you're still listening, thank you so much. We are going to continue this interview after a very short break. Again, if you're just joining us at the Trips and Triumphs podcast, wherever social media is available, you can watch or listen. We are going to continue talking to Tameka Brown. She's going to talk about some things that I literally just learned through introductions.